from Brooklyn, New York. Please give it up for Danny Hoch.
This is a public service announcement.
I don't want to be around people who look like me all the time. A sea of white gets boring. I want to fill my palette with every color so I can paint civil rights and diversity. I want to hear a hip-hop beat dripping in poetry as told by kidnapped Africans with Japanese technology on stolen land sent out to poor and rich youth all over the world disguised as American products. Hip-hop is too many things to fit into one fucking box, so let's pluck the bones from this religion and build a culture. Dig the foundation out of oppression, tell the history of our ancestry. We'll call it hip-hop.
For the food for real? Yeah. Let's go. Okay. Can we film you?
What's your definition of hip-hop?
My definition of hip-hop, it's just like a beat with, I guess, a form of poetry.
Well, what do you mean by hip-hop?
To me, it's just a form of dance, personal expression. It seems a younger person's culture. A culture, too.
Hip-hop is a way of life.
If you want to talk about rap, literature and rap, you guys know what the acronym stands for, right? Rap, rhythm and poetry. That's what the whole acronym stands for. If you want to talk about hip-hop, I mean, the best way probably to describe it is the way Bob Dylan described it. He basically said, it was social protest,
Guys, you know you better watch out. There's some good singles along about.
Smart, streetwise, and vernacular, current vernacular.
Hip-hop to me is a form of music, first of all, and it is defined in my mind as poetry with a beat. So if you think about it, it has rhythm and it has soul.
And to me, hip-hop, it's really dancey. It's a really dancey style of music. It has as my friend said, like the poetry on top of the word on top of the beat, and that just gives it that characteristic.
When I think of hip-hop, like the music aspect, like how I think about hip-hop is like it kind of has a different flow. Like when you came to like words and stuff like that, like mix and matching words, like hip-hop has a different flow than most music because it's got a call. We gotta go right now.
It's hard to label it. It's like, this is what hip-hop is, but it's mostly, when I think of 93.7, that is what I think of hip-hop.
Well, what I know about hip-hop is back in the early 90s in Tucson, there was this radio station, I want to say it was 1490, it was definitely AM, and they were doing mostly hip-hop. They were owned by the Journal Broadcast Group, and so their whole purpose was to take airtime away from KRQ.
I didn't want to take it.
They brought all kinds of hip-hop artists to Tucson that nobody had ever heard of, and it was like the only station in the country that was playing them.
Things that rhyme, things that are street.
I ain't really into hip-hop.
Hip-hop is, it's more of a culture than anything. It's, has to do with music, it has to do with a lifestyle, it has to do with dance, it has to do with, it's pretty close to a religion. If you want to define it exactly, define a religion, look into religion and how that works. What's going on, guys? It's hip-hop,
Hip-hop is maybe like faster beats. I feel like, I don't know, it's easy to put in your own way, I guess.
I think of sneakers.
Yeah.
Highlighter colors.
I think hip-hop is just something to the soul. And it's not just black thing, you know what I mean? It's not Mexican thing. It's a good music thing.
When I think of hip-hop, it reminds me of hip-hop dancing.
I think that hip-hop is not just music, but it's a revolution. It's a way that people were able to rise up out of oppression and express themselves in a totally unique way. Yeah, and it's a way of living, a way of listening, a way of expression.
It's the way you think. Like, it's just different. Hip hop is a full culture in itself that so many people don't realize. Like, hip hop
and where it came from and what it has done. Hip hop music, hip hop culture, the lifestyle.
If you had to name an artist, who would you consider hip hop?
Her name is Brie Geiger, and she's the best I know. I'm kidding.
Listen to Blue Scholars. You like Blue Scholars, huh?
Yeah, Blue Scholars are really
Kinda
good.
from home.
From Seattle.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a positive hip hop. Yeah.
No. The artist I think of would be fall more into rap.
You don't like the Will Smith?
I like Will Smith.
That's hip hop.
Right now, the one hip hop artist that I think is like really real, I really like Drake. I do. I really like Drake. I do.
DJ Kool Herc. That's the guy who created hip hop. He was the first DJ to use 2 turntables. So he brought in 2 turntables because they would dance to the break of the record. And he noticed that everybody would like that part of the song, the break of the record. So what he did was he would have this record going, and then it would cue. And then after this break was done, he'd switch it right away. So this break would be playing. So the party never stopped. And so he used to bring his friends to the party who would dance. Break boys. That's what they would call them. B-boys. That's why they're called B-boys. Because they would dance to the break of the song.
How do you think hip-hop's changed over time?
Not like people you hear today on the radio. Today they're not hip-hop artists. They make their own music to hip-hop beats. It's like, I don't know, it's like the difference between a b-boy and a breakdancer. A b-boy or a breakdancer is somebody who knows the moves, who knows breakdancing moves, and goes out on the floor and does them. Compared to a b-boy who they're just completely a dancer, that they understand it and why it is the way it is, and they evolve with it and they move with the music and up and down from the floor. That's a b-boy. So it's the same thing with like musical artists. Like there's artists out there that are saying, "Oh yeah, we're hip hop," but if you ask them anything about hip hop culture, they're probably going to tell you.
Hip hop is more, I think, the music and the dance as opposed to rapping, more lyrics.
It always seems current with the times.
The Nicki Minaj album is considered hip hop, and I love you, Nicki. Don't get me wrong, Lord knows I do. But that's not hip hop. It's like
I think hip hop's fading. I think it's about it's about time that because the music and style repeats itself, and hip hop's never gonna come back until the techno.
It's changed, for the good and for the bad. Normally you hear the bad, it's too commercial, this or that, but that's just a sign of the times. Well, I mean, it's changed like any music change. I mean, everything gets commercialized eventually. Everything's going to start out, pure, coming from the heart, and then, as it gets popular and, it gets into the, society's pulse or whatever, marketing and all that comes in, and then it gets commercialized. So yeah, it's changed in that sense, but also it's also changed. It has evolved. It's become better.
I think that what is being played on the radio is not hip hop. In a lot of cases, depending on the radio. Mainstream, I don't think I would consider hip-hop, but pop music.
What do you know, if anything, about hip-hop theater?
Hip-hop's theater in its own.
Hip-hop theater, wow.
No, I'm not familiar enough with it to be able to answer that, no.
Lights up on Washington Heights up at the break of day. I wake up and I got this little punk I gotta chase away. That's all I know.
Yeah, but I don't know that I've heard of hip-hop theater.
I've been kind of exposed to it a little bit, but I wouldn't know enough about it to explain it to someone else.
Everyone thinks of In the Heights as hip-hop theater, but I know that there was a first one-act play that they did at the Kennedy Center American Theater Festival, and that started off as a one-act play, and it was probably in like 1999, and they did slam poetry, and they add like beatbox to it.
No. I saw Stomp.
I've never heard of
I've never heard of it either.
Sounds exciting.
Hip hop theater, I've heard very little about it. But what I have heard of it seems like a very brilliant idea, something that nobody's really doing, and I think it'd be a great way to start something new. Yeah. Are you guys doing it?